Yo, Beth. That shit crazy.
On a Saturday, it's All Even with your boy Barry Grant. You can catch me on Twitter and Instagram at All Even Podcast. You can listen to the show on SoundCloud as well as YouTube, Anchor, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Breaker, and wherever you find your podcasts available. What a beautiful Saturday it is. Lots to get into. NFL news. We're going to talk about Vincent Jackson. I know I'm a little late on that, but definitely want to get into that issue. And, one of my favorite segments, Phone a Friend, is back. We're going to speak to one of my good friends, one of my good buddies, Richard Jean-Baptiste. We're going to talk everything sports. And then the greatest segment on the planet, Dummy of the Week. So let's just jump right into it. First off, I just want to start the show and say, rest in peace, Vincent Jackson. He died at age 38. They found him in a hotel room. His family said that he had some alcohol issues, and a lot of people are saying that it's due to his football career, the CTE. And it's just another sad case, man. And I don't even know how to begin. But Ryan Leaf has been all over the news, pouring his heart out in regards to how he feels the NFL has handled retired players, the old school regime, and he doesn't hold anything back.
I don't know what the fuck to do anymore. My NFL brothers continue to die, and nobody's doing a goddamn thing about it. I talked to another brother. He spent the weekend in a psych ward today. The NFL just doesn't fucking care. They don't care. I mean, they'll write condolence letters and shit like that. But if they were invested, they'd actually put some money behind the Legends community and into the mental health and substance abuse side of it, and not. Once you're bad for the brand, the Shield, they could give two shits. I don't know what the hell to do. They don't get how precious life is. And then I have this fucking survivor's guilt. A ton of it. You need to do something. Because everybody's, oh fuck. Just be part of the solution, please.
I'm not going to lie to you, man. I agree with him. 100% because the NFL has always had an issue with optics when it comes to the old players. They had to fight for their money for certain benefits and rights and all this stuff, and you're hearing more and more players with CTE issues. Aaron Hernandez had CTE issues. Yeah, he did. Based on, no matter what he did, CTE issues. There's a lot of people that played this game are dealing with CTE issues. Just like what Ryan Leaf said. He spoke to a brother that's in a psych ward. Like, there's so many things that are going on with these retired NFL players, and we're not hearing enough about it because maybe the NFL doesn't want us to hear about it. Maybe it's just one of those things that they just like to sweep under the rug. And I know a lot of people don't like to use this comparison about war, but, when these Army veterans come back from the war and there's nothing there for them, and you used to see them, after Vietnam, people are just on the streets. They look like bums. Like, they're not bums. These guys are crying for help, and there was really no help out there for them. What's the solution here? Like, this is not something that we can continue to see and we can really continue to hear about players that played this game at such a high level, gave their bodies, sacrificed so much family time, and then when it's over, they can't even enjoy that family because their brain is all jello. They can't think straight. Their whole mental structure has been altered, changed forever. Can't reverse that. So what is the NFL actually doing for them? Because I remember they just threw money at them, but now it's time to do more. Now it's time to be able to create some programs for mental health. Get these guys evaluated. Make sure that they are able to go to the doctor free of charge. Get some CTE evaluations. Get them help. Have an outlet for them to go to. Not turn your back on them, give them money, and never speak about it again. This is an issue that we all are seeing play out in front of us. How many more NFL players have to die? How many more legends, guys that we saw growing up, that we love, seeing them play? How many more of these guys have to die in a hotel room, or die in their car, or die in their bed, or end up going to jail because they had some psychotic episode? When does it stop? The NFL has the power to be able to do so much more for these guys, and they're not doing it. So at the end of the day, I can't blame Ryan Leaf for feeling this way, for feeling like the NFL has abandoned them, because that's what it seems like. Like, yo, for real, is the NFL not, tired of bad optics? Are they not tired of having these particular things come out in the media, have players speak out about things like this? So prevent it from happening. Do something about it. Be proactive. Put programs in place so these ex-players feel that you actually care about them, that you actually care about what happens to their families, that you actually care about their well-beings, because a lot of them are hurting. A lot of them are feeling exactly what Ryan Leaf feels right now. Mental health is such a big thing in this country right now that I still think that a lot of people take it for granted. Can't anymore. You can't just, roll over and think it's going to go away. It doesn't. There's so many people out there that struggle with this thing, man. And then you put CTE on top of that. The fact that they're having these mood swings that they can't control because their brain patterns have changed. So much trauma to the brain. Come on, man. NFL makes billions of dollars a year. And you're trying to tell me that there can't be a facility that you guys create, build, to have people there that can be able to help these guys off the field, pay guys on the books to do wellness checkups for ex-players, have a hotline where they can be able to call and really air their grievances or frustrations or what's going on with them, and then have somebody rush out there to speak to them. All of these things are possible for the NFL. So why don't they do it? This is what bothers me about what's going on here, is that it's always an optics thing for the NFL. Yeah, they're successful. Yeah, a lot of people love watching it. But this does not look good. It just doesn't. And to have, statements to the press, oh, this is very sad. Our hearts and prayers go out for, to Vincent Jackson's family. It's not enough. It's not enough. You want to investigate players and go hard and penalize them when they shouldn't be in our league. Well, why don't you help the guys that are actually screaming out for help in their own way? It's all good when the cash is coming in. Billions of dollars are rolling in. TV deals, fantasy football money, all of this stuff. Everybody's happy. But don't turn your backs on the guys that actually made all of this money possible. Don't turn your backs on the guys that literally use their head as a weapon to make money. Don't turn your backs on those guys. For you to ever excel in your future, you always have to take care of your past. Coming up after the break, Phone a Friend with my man Richard Jean-Baptiste. On a Saturday, it's all even. I've had so many people tell me that Anchor is great. Anchor is this, Anchor is that. But I have to tell you, man, those people were right. If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. It's free. There's creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or your computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more. You can make money from your own podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. Why wait? Get at it now. Welcome back, y'all. So let's get to my favorite segment, Phone a Friend.
Call him up, 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 call him up. Competing for a reason, trying to stay undefeated, yeah. Call him up, 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 call him up. Biggest game of the season, don't lie, we're all leaving, yeah.
Who we have on the show today is one of my good friends, one of my buddies, my brother, 3-time All-American at Brooklyn College legend, Richard Jean-Baptiste. How you doing, my man? Welcome to the show.
Oh, man, I'm good, man. Happy to be here, man. What's going on, BJ? Yo, listen, first of all, before I even get into this, man, I just want to let you know I love the show. Definitely a fan. I'm always on your lives. I'm always commenting. I'm a legit avid fan. I used to love Skip and Shannon. But now I'm stuck on freaking BJ and Mike Guido getting my sports fix, man. But definitely, listen, bro, I'm proud of you. I've been there since day one. I've seen the grind. I've seen the work. A lot of people don't see or understand what it takes to get into this. And I got to watch it firsthand with you, man. So I just want to start off by saying, man, I'm happy to be here and I'm proud of you, bro.
Nah, I appreciate it, man. You giving my flowers. I'm supposed to be giving you all the praise, man. You ain't supposed to come on my show and give me no praise, man. But I appreciate it. Man.
Yeah, no problem, no problem.
So look, let's talk about your your basketball career a little bit, man. You know, you are one of the most talented guys I've ever seen on the court. And you wound up at Brooklyn College and you ended up breaking the all-time scoring record in what, 3 years? Under 3 years?
Yeah, actually a little bit under 3 years. Which was dope. Like you said, whatever the circumstances, everybody has a story. I ended up at Brooklyn College. I was the average kid with hoop dreams, and so many situations happened, good and bad for me. So I just got to a point where I was kind of over it. But lucky for me, my brother was actually coaching at Brooklyn College, just starting out.
Shouts to Jeff.
Yes, it was a great situation. We spoke. He kind of talked me back into, the sport again. Because, like when you have those dreams and it doesn't pan out, you kind of
the way you want to.
So,
yeah.
Yeah. So young, your mentality is so adversity isn't something that a lot of young men can actually take on,
That's
so
facts.
I kind of broke with that a little bit. My brother being the older brother kind of geared me back into, the proper lane of, at least enjoying the college experience, having fun, playing basketball for the love again, and not necessarily for the glitz and the glamour. You know what I mean? So luckily, like I said, I got to Brooklyn College. I guess I don't, not to pat myself, but it was a school with like a losing history, so to speak. And listen, man, my first year there, I think we went like 22-7 or something like that. Then we won back-to-back championships. And a whole bunch of awards came with that too. So, props to my Brooklyn College basketball team, because those guys was dope, man. They made my college experience fun. Nah,
Definitely, man. And it was always interesting to watch your progression, because even in high school, you brought a championship there to St. John's as well. So there's a lot of stuff that you did where, we thought that, things are kind of pan out a little differently, but that's the game. That's sports. Sometimes, sometimes things just don't fall your way. Sometimes things don't fall in the right box or whatever it is, but you still got to keep trucking. And the fact that you were able to, find your love again for the game and really, put your foot down and dominate the way you did, man. Like, kudos to you, like I said.
Yeah, no, for sure. And just like we were talking about before, it's a lot of times it's it's a storyline, which is so crazy because that's just life.
Right.
You'll have you'll see so many kids playing park basketball or tournament basketball that you wonder, why isn't this kid in the NBA when we have so many NBA players that probably wouldn't do as well as this kid? But it's circumstance, it's right place, right time, it's situation, it's your resources, who you have helping, all that kind of stuff. So and again, for me, it just became a look, man, it's let's have fun. Let's have fun with it. So
No, definitely. Now, what do you think about the current AAU situation for hoops? Like, do you think it's been beneficial for basketball, or do you think that it's actually been a detriment in regards to how these kids are being propped up as a farm system, and you're seeing them get to the next level, either whether it be NBA or college, and you're not seeing them develop the way, correct me if I'm wrong, I'm old school, so I watch a lot of basketball, but to me, these kids, they don't look ready for the next level, how they used to. Am I bugging, or do you agree?
Well, what I think it is too, just with what you said, you're more old school. So the style, the type of basketball you grew up on and the basketball you grew to love is very opposite from this generation where, when you played basketball, you established who's the center and what a center does. Who's the power forward, what a power forward does.
That's where the numbers came in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Exactly.
You don't hear that no more.
Exactly. So what's happening now, especially in the AAU system, is they're gearing every one of these kids to be Giannis, LeBron, KD, or Steph Curry.
Right.
So if you're able to blend those players in every child, so because I remember the days where the biggest kid on the court played down low.
Right.
You know what I mean?
You 6'7", you going down low.
You're going down low. I don't care how much you can handle. You're not touching the ball until you get by the basket. So so now I think with AAU, what they're doing now is they're taking that 6'7" kid and turning him into the 5'11" kid.
Right.
So, and that's why I said, within the next 10 years, I believe that you're gonna have to be about 6'5", 6'6", in order to sustain yourself in the NBA. Because these kids are just getting taller and way more talented. Yeah,
it's crazy, man. I definitely agree because I guess when you look at it from a skill set standpoint, their skill set is definitely better than what it was 25 years ago. Kids can be able to do so much, but the mentality is more what I'm talking about. It's like, okay, these kids have the skill set, but they do not look mentally ready for the NBA. And go ahead.
Well, if you look at it, the NBA turned to an entertainment business versus looking at the 90s Knicks, where they pride themselves on teams scoring 70 points in an entire 12-minute quarter game.
Well, I want to add to that point. I had an interview with Josh Powell, and Josh Powell made a great point that was crazy to me. He said that the Detroit Pistons and the San Antonio Spurs destroyed basketball. What they did was they made it unpopular to be defensively gifted and to lead with defense, because you haven't seen another team or teams like that since, because the game has changed. And he makes a stark point. And I
agree with him 100%, because it is now an entertainment business.
Right.
So you can't entertain by shutting down LeBron James.
Right.
I can't make the crowd do the oohs and ahs if I take away LeBron James's fast break.
Right.
You know, so, and that's the thing too. You look at all, like, the reason why players in the NBA back in the day weren't doing these kind of dunks, the opportunities were so little. Like, dudes used to dunk and try to hurry up and dunk in the 90s.
Yeah.
It wasn't let me lead and cock it back and all this kind of stuff, because Charles Oakley was on the court. you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, you try to do that, you're not getting up. You know what I mean?
That's it. You're done. Your night is over, and you're probably done for a couple of weeks. And
right.
And that's so what I think that did was it made the defender boring. So in the NBA, it said, yo, you're not going to be fun unless you can do this with the basketball.
Right.
You know, so anybody, just like Josh Powell said, so when you have your San Antonio Spurs, they've never been entertaining.
Never.
They had arguably the best power forwards who have ever played the game.
And one of the most boring players.
Boring to watch.
Yeah.
Ginobili, who started the Euro step. Look how popular the Euro step is now.
Right.
Nobody cared to watch him.
Nobody cared. Nope.
So, and just like you said, the Pistons, there wasn't one do-it-all player on that team.
No, they all had their role and they all dominated their role. That's what they did.
And that was it. But their main point was defense.
Yeah.
Ben Wallace was legitimately 6'7", 6'8".
Right. I'll probably give him 6'6".
You get what I'm saying? So
right.
That mindset is awesome for basketball, but you got to be a dude, like you just said. You got to be old school to love that kind of basketball.
Yeah.
Because we get excited when you see a person beat the offensive player to a spot, make a spin, then you turn him again, he throws a turnover, you get excited over that.
Right.
The average fan just keeps eating popcorn, bro.
Yeah, they don't understand what they just watched. No, you're 100% right. 100%
You get what I'm saying? So
yeah.
now if you're rest in peace David Stern and everybody that we have now in the offices, their main focal point is, no, we got to make sure the scores are 134 to 124, because it keeps Kevin Durant scoring 43 points a game, James Harden putting up 38 points a game. That's unheard of.
Yeah.
That's unheard of. So I do believe that basketball now versus back then is the complete opposite. Back in the days, it was always inside you start, then it goes outside.
Right.
Like if you look at it, the best player to have ever played the game was a 60% post-up player.
Yeah.
Like, could you imagine if Kevin Durant came up court right now and posted up every play? They would boo the hell out of him. They'd boo him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's why I said, when you get these younger players, the mentality is so hard. It's so hard to maintain a tough-like mentality because they're not trained that way.
Yeah.
Their focus is mainly offense.
Right.
To have a defensive mentality is so much more like
cerebral,
like challenging. It's challenging than being on offense. Because offense, you could just shoot a bunch of shots. But on defense, if a person's shooting all those shots and making them on you, that could break your spirit.
Yeah, it's all mental. Like, you have to be mentally prepared to play defense. You have to put yourself in that mindset, because if you don't, then the physical part of it is not going to catch up. Everything has to be working at the same time.
100%. And that's why my prime example of everything we're talking about is Kawhi Leonard.
Yeah.
He made his name on what?
On defense. And his offense came along slowly. Yeah.
Exactly. But once his offense came, look how much more people talk about Kawhi Leonard.
Right. They didn't care about him before. Yeah.
Nobody. He won a Finals MVP simply because he played good defense on LeBron James. Like, that's why he won MVP.
Right.
But nobody ever spoke about how good he actually was.
Right. Same thing with Iguodala, right?
Exactly. Now, once Kawhi said, all right, screw this boring system, I won out because I need to show what I can do offensively.
Turn it up. Yeah.
Dude, he got a sneaker deal.
Mm-hmm.
He won a championship being the main offensive player.
And he's in LA where he want to be.
Exactly. Because this is the new NBA.
Yeah.
That defensive stuff would have still had him on the Spurs, guarding every best player, running off screens, shooting set shots, getting back on defense. It's just not the NBA today.
That's a great point, man. I mean, I also want to talk about the college game right now. I don't know if you heard the news that Jalen Johnson, one of the top recruits that was going to Duke University, foregoed the rest of his season and decided to, declare for the draft. Now, the reason why this is big news for me is because he declared shortly after being benched for 3 straight games under Coach K. So think about it. Highly recruited guy. He's going to one of the best coaches that he'll ever have in his entire life, where Coach K is going to teach you how to be a man, how to be a professional, all of these things. And he took it personal that Coach K would bench him because he's a top recruit. This is what I'm talking about the mentality. So the kid quit high school at some point. He also now quit college because Coach K was putting too much pressure on him. What message is a guy like kid like Jalen Johnson sending to other kids that are looking at him as like, yeah, that's the guy I want to be? Like, what are we doing with these kids at this level? That the fact that a great Hall of Fame head coach cannot discipline a player that does not have the cachet that he should, and that he's learning how to be a professional. Because think about it. I'm going to use this in context. Brandon Ingram, went to Duke. He struggled early on in, non-conference games. Coach K benched him, had him come off the bench. He worked his tail off to get back into the starting lineup and ended up having a really, really good season. Ended up, I don't remember if he won ACC Player of the Year, but he was up there and ended up being the number 2 player in the draft that following season. So, it's not a detriment when a Coach K benches you to try to get your mental straight. But as a player and as a young player to actually look at a Coach K and say, yo, you dare bench me, okay, I'm going to quit. Like, what are we doing here? What are we doing?
And it's sad to say, because there's so many positives to it, is that this all trickles down from the NBA.
Yes.
So
the NBA's the blame. Yes.
So, because what happens is you take, a pioneer like LeBron James when it comes to getting all these players to understand your worth.
Yeah.
Let's not let the system use you.
Right.
And spit you out however they choose to. Right. So you take a kid like you said, Jalen Johnson, who's highly recruited, probably one of the highest recruited kids in the country.
Top 10.
That knows even if he plays one college game and quits, he's still going to the NBA. Doesn't matter. So what they did was they gave the college kid power. That kid now has power over the university.
Right.
He accepts the scholarship, which is a paid scholarship, and then says, I'm going to do it my way. If it's not going to go my way, I'm going to quit only because I'm still going to the NBA. So regardless of what you do, this would actually hurt Coach K more than it actually hurt me.
Agreed.
You know what I mean? So that's why, and then you can take it back to the whole college kids want to get paid, and you know what I mean? Like, I feel like there's so much when it comes to that, but I think that power move is simply because he knows he's guaranteed.
Right. And that's the sucky part. That's the sucky part.
Yeah, no, exactly. So now that's a kid that is like, not that he thinks he's bigger than the game, but if he makes it to the NBA top pick, then he's bigger than the game. Right.
It's because his move is justified. If they end up taking him top 5, top 10, it's justified of what he did. Now, if he falls now, that's a message to other kids to say, don't do that. Don't do that.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. Because all that's going to happen is every top recruit in this country from now on is coming in with the mentality of, you need me, I don't need you.
Right. Don't bench me. I'm going to play as much minutes as I want to, and that's it.
Exactly. So now and again, if he pans out, it will be a horrible message to these kids, because then college will trickle down to high school.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like those kids in high school will start to feel the way these college kids feel. So
Right.
I think it is a bad thing. Now, do I believe at some point it can, because even starting with the letting college go, going straight to the G League, making six figures, that in itself is great for basketball when you look at one end of the spectrum, but then you can look at the other end of the spectrum, which I think it's the parent end, the education end, like a lot of logical life learning things that you would probably want your child to go through. But then when you hear it on the other side of the story, when you hear the other side of the story and you hear about how they use kids, and then you can go back to the Fab Five and how they make these kids marketable so that they can benefit,
make the billions. Yeah.
And you get absolutely nothing no matter what your situation is.
Right.
Which is again why kids are accepting money to go to schools, and all these crazy things are happening because it's a business that has now been exposed, and now these kids have a blueprint on how to expose the system also.
Yeah.
So if I'm Coach K, which he probably won't do, that's a situation you got to suck up. Maybe have a good conversation with him and let him know, like, listen, I know you're going to be here 1 year. Let's figure out a way to make this the best year possible.
Yeah, I mean, my take on the entire college system, and it was forced upon them by the NBA, this one and done rule, is that I'm sick of the one and done rule. I think the one and done rule has done damage to the college system because when we think about, 25 years ago, kids were able to go straight to the league and they had success. Now, my thing is this. Okay, you're gonna tell kids you can't come into the league until you've completed 1 year of eligibility in college or you're 19 years of age, right? That's the rule, right? Mm-hmm. But when they get to the league, it takes them 3, 4, 5 years to develop. So what's the difference of taking a kid straight out of high school? He's going to take 3 or 4 years to develop anyway. And the thing is, you're now forcing kids that don't care about going to school to go to school. So they're not getting their education. They don't care about the experience that they're actually going through. Look at a kid like Jalen Johnson. Do you think that he enjoyed his experience being a Duke player with all that history, that lineage, all of those great players that came through there? He's just looking at it as an opportunity to get him to the league. That's not a good thing. So if you abolish the one and done rule, let these kids take their risk. If they want to go ahead and risk their futures and go to the NBA, and if it pans out for them, great. But if it doesn't, that's their decision to make. They're 18 years of age. They should speak to their family about it. That's not the NBA's decision to have to put a rule on these kids as oh no, you gotta wait a year. You gotta wait a year. It's nonsense. Some of the greatest players we've ever seen play this game came straight from high school. So why are we stopping these children from making those decisions? I don't understand that. And then a couple years from now, the rule is going to be out. By the time Bronny wants to get into the league, he can do that. What's the sense? What was the point of that? Because what you've done, you've created more corruption in college basketball. You've created more deception, more lies. Guys don't care about the product. Guys don't care about the system. The Duke-Carolina rivalry is no more. All the rivalries across college basketball, it doesn't matter anymore. These kids don't go to the school for the jersey anymore. They go for, okay, how is it going to affect my draft stock if I go to this school? Like, it's not that. This is not what college was supposed to be about. Like, I remember the kids that were 2.5-star recruits. They get to a certain program, and by the time they leave, they're an NBA prospect. That is what I miss from college basketball. The one and done's okay, cool. You're always going to have marquee guys, but let the kids that want to go to college, let them experience that and let them grow. And for the kids that want to earn a living in the NBA, let them try it and see what the hell happens, because talent is going to rise to the surface anyway. It's up to the NBA teams to make the decision on, are we going to draft this kid or are we not going to draft this kid? Don't put it on the system to say, okay, well, this kid has to go to school because, like you said, look at what these kids are doing. They're finding different avenues to get themselves to the NBA, to get themselves paid. Okay, I don't have to go to college. If I'm going to be 19 before I get to the league, I'm going to go overseas. I'm going to go to the G League. Like, they're not abiding by your rule. So there's no reason to have the rule in.
And another point too is like what I think has happened also is the financial aspect as far as like those younger children.
Yeah.
Dying to get a piece of the cake.
Right.
So, and the exposure for these kids compared to back in the day, because remember, like when we were growing up, when it came to basketball, you only could talk about a handful of kids that you knew were really good in the area.
There was no big social media. Like,
exactly.
You had to be exceptional for everybody to be paying attention to you.
Exactly. You had to be known in King Dome, Rucker Park.
Yes.
Or you had to have a ridiculous name. Whereas now you have kids on social media creating documentaries of their basketball career, even though they're an average player.
Right. They already have 100,000 plus followers and all this stuff, and they're in high school.
Exactly. So now you get these kids that go to college and already have the mindset of, no, I'm a product.
Right. I'm a star.
I need to sell myself. No, there's no way I need to go to school and stay here. Nope. I know I'm going to. So you have all of these kids growing up in that era of I'm a product and I'm selling myself.
Right.
Now, I'm
a brand.
And most of these kids don't even be as good as they think they are. Right. You know what I mean? But then you do have, like you said, your one and dones, the kids that your LeBron Jameses. You'll never come across something like that. Kevin Garnett, like, those type of players are once one in a million.
Yeah.
But now these kids are so saturated with everything that distracts them from what I feel is reality.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I think, what LeBron James was trying to do was really create some knowledge, some awareness to our young guys, our youth, as well as some inexperienced players in the league, to understand that they're worth more, they're valued more. But what has happened is that it's now spread way too far in regards to thinking that everybody has that same power. Not everybody has that LeBron James type of ability to change things. For every LeBron James you have, you're going to have 150 Darius Miles.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And that's the thing. It's like, brand and all this stuff is great, but at the end of the day, the NBA is a business. College is a business. You have to like work with that business to get what you want. You cannot think that you're going to turn the business on its head and still feel that everything is going to work out for everybody, because it's not the way it goes. You can be able to manipulate the system and it's going to work out for that 1%. But for everybody else, it's going to be a tough sledding. And I want to segue into this, that whole Draymond Green situation where he said that, there's a double standard in the NBA. Like, what are your thoughts about that in regards to players, requesting trades and they are quote unquote vilified according to Draymond Green, but the ownership, the GMs, the governors, they're not vilified for wanting to trade a player or wanting to sit a player down, not play him until they can be able to figure out what they're going to do with that player via trade or buyout. Like, what are your thoughts about that?
I 100% agree with Draymond. Excuse me, just because it kind of goes back, and this is just, this is my opinion. It kind of goes back to the owner / slave mentality, right? And I say that to mean, as the owner, I can do whatever I want to do, because technically I'm the one paying you. I'm the one providing all this stuff for you.
Right.
I'm making you be the person that you are with my money. So you can't dare buck the system. because one, they control, I don't want to say media, but they have their own inner circle of media.
Yeah.
Where one owner can just say, I want nothing to do with Draymond. Draymond is a cancer. He's a this, he's a that. And that can spread amongst owners. Because what people can't forget, these owners are also all best friends.
Yeah, I mean, they talk. Definitely. They all talk.
Not best friends, but you get what I'm saying.
Yeah,
they all know each other.
It's a tight-knit circle. It's a fraternity.
100%.
Yeah.
Why do you think Colin Kaepernick really didn't get signed?
Right.
You get what I'm saying? So I do feel like it is remarkable how a player demands a trade, and the first thing is he's a bad guy. You can't do this. Who do you think you are to do this? Because that's essentially what their thoughts are.
Right.
Who do you think you are to do this to us? And LeBron James, like you said earlier, showing the player your worth is going to make you say, all right, well, I'm able to do this because of my skill. But on the back end, when you do it, you're going to get killed by the team. Right. But the ownership process is, all right, well, we kind of own, we give you the money, we do whatever we want. Dude, we're gonna trade you. We don't want you no more. So, sit out and that's what I think was important that Draymond said was, and it's so crazy how they expect you to still remain professional. But on the other end, when you do it to them, there's no professionalism in what they're doing.
Well, listen, I definitely agree with some parts of what Draymond Green is saying. Like, in regards to the media, like, it's all media related, right? If the media would cover and criticize the organizations just like how they criticize certain players for asking out and wanting out, I think players would feel a little bit more that it's an even playing field. But, the examples that Draymond Green uses sometimes, like the only one I can actually say that was wild was I remember when Harrison Barnes got traded. He was on the bench and they removed him from the bench. He got traded like mid-game and he had to leave. He had to leave the bench. I remember, there's certain things you can say, okay, cool. The organization can learn how to do things a little differently. But let's think about James Harden. James Harden requests out from an organization that literally gave him everything, Rich. They gave him the private jet. They allowed him to stay over extra days on road trips to do whatever the hell he wanted. They allowed any player that he wanted to play with or partner up with, they got him. Mm-hmm. They ended up getting the coach that he wanted. They ended up changing the playing style to fit his playing style. Mm-hmm. And it still wasn't enough for him. And he decides to say, yeah, I'm out. You guys can't win. I'm out. So they're looking at it like, yo, what else as a team can I do for you to make you happy? And he ends up showing up 15 pounds overweight and still gets to go where he wants to go. Think about that. You can hot dog it. You can actually be a detriment to your basketball team to the point where John Wall and Boogie Cousins was calling you out in the media, and you still ended up going exactly where you wanted. So my thing is this. I'm like, all right, cool. Yes, I can understand the media side of it, that the media needs to cover it a little bit fairly. But at the same time, all of this that you're seeing was negotiated through collective bargaining. The players wanted more money. The owner said, okay, you want more money. You want the supermax contracts where guys get all-star appearances. They get first-team All-NBAs, first-team defensive, second-team, third-team, and you can be able to get a 35% bonus on top of your extension. Cool. So they gave up the money, the owners, the players took the money, and in retrospect, they gave up some power to the owners, so the owners can be able to say, okay, we still have the power to be able to buy out players. We still have the power to be able to trade you, however we want to trade you. If you are so adamant on having a level playing field, then you need to negotiate that come CBA time. And if you don't, if the owners say, well, we don't want to really negotiate what you're asking for, then the only other option is to hold out, have a lockout until you get what you want. But you can't have the cake, you can't have the money, you can't eat all the stuff that you want to do and have all of this power. No other organization, no other sporting organization, the players have more control in the NBA. The only thing left for the NBA players to have is to literally own a team. That's the only thing left.
Yeah.
So my thing is like, as a commissioner like Adam Silver that has bent over backwards for the players, they wanna preach social justice, they want to preach awareness. Adam Silver's on top of that. They want to, not play for Charlotte when the whole Charlottesville thing happened. Cool, we're not gonna play that. Like he's been so on the player's side to the point where he can't go back and even try to be like David Stern and rule with an iron fist because he's gone so far right. You know what I mean? So it's like, to me, I just hear a lot of complaining with NBA players. And the thing is like, at the end of the day, what we have to understand and remember about the NBA is that it's a business. If me and you are on our job and my boss says, Barry is not living up to standards in regards to he's not meeting his quotas, he's not doing this, we feel that we might have to move on from him. What am I going to do? Complain to the media that I'm not being fairly treated? I didn't live up to my standards as an employee. So think about it from the governors, they're not called owners anymore, the governor standpoint or a GM standpoint. I trade for you and you are not meeting my expectations for the money that you're getting. So why should I continue to have you on my team? I need to figure out a way to be able to speak to you, negotiate a buyout, or let's see if we can find a trade partner for you. And in the meantime, we don't necessarily think that playing you is the best option. So we're going to pay you to either stay home or sit on that bench. I don't see an issue here because at the end of the day, it's not like you're not getting paid. I can't call my boss and say, yeah, I'm not going to make it today. And more importantly, I would like to work somewhere else and still get a paycheck from you guys. He's going to look at me like, nah, you can just leave and you're not going to work here no more. And we're not going to pay you. So in any other aspect of life, it doesn't work. The NBA, these players, it's not a real life thing. Like their problems are not real life. And it's like they come to us in the media. They tell us what's going on with the NBA. They tell you how unfair things are, but that don't apply to guys like me and you or other people that are just average Joes. It don't make sense. You are an employee of the NBA. There's rules, there's certain guidelines, there's certain protocols that you have to abide by. That's it.
Yeah.
If you don't want to work there, then don't work there, but don't complain.
See, the issue I think with James Harden is that Houston just made a bad investment.
Yes, they did. In him. I agree.
Yes, 100%. Yeah. So the only problem with their bad investment is that he seems like a good investment to other teams.
Yeah.
The fact that they gave up everything for James Harden,
right?
All it proved was that James Harden isn't good enough to do it on his own.
Exactly. He's not a number one, and that's okay.
Exactly. Which is not necessarily a bad thing to the average fan or the average supporter, because it just makes you realize, okay, this is a guy who, like he's proven now, he needs two other players.
Yes.
LeBron James, you can give him one player
and he's good.
That's all he needs.
Right.
But then you look at, when KG had Paul Pierce, Ray Allen,
right,
Rondo, that's what they needed. And
right.
It's okay.
Right.
You understand? The young LeBron needed D-Wade and Chris Bosh to get him. So James Harden was just a dude who they believed was a LeBron James that you could just give him an AD and it happens, but it doesn't work.
He's actually a Pippen.
100%. Yeah. So I think Houston they tried to hold on for so long that it makes James Harden look like a terrible guy just for saying, I don't work here.
Yeah.
Because to me, it was as simple as that. It was just a bad breakup because Houston didn't want to let him go.
Right.
He wanted to explore the market. He wants to see other people.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? And by Houston holding on, and then all bad media is great media.
Yeah.
So you can take James Harden simply saying, guys, look, we tried. Because he's saying it, not being a jerk. He's just saying, we're just not good enough. If he would have just said, I'm not good enough, it probably would have smashed the whole thing.
Right.
But in reality, all he's saying is, I just want to go. You're forcing me to stay here, and I don't want to be here. So you can look at it from the end of, all right, Houston put everything into the relationship, and it just didn't pan out. It happens.
Yeah.
It happens. So cut your losses, come up with a 3-4 year rebuilding plan, figure out where do we go from here? How can we get better? And I'm not going to lie. Like, I do believe, like, Harden leaving made Christian Wood
Oh, yeah, definitely.
rise up to much higher than he was before.
Yeah. I mean, like, he had a great year in Detroit, and now you guys are looking at him like, he's really, really super talented. And with a James Harden, it wouldn't have worked out that way.
100%. So now you can take Wood and say, you know what? We just created another Jared Allen.
Yeah.
Brooklyn let Jared Allen ball out. He was doing amazing in Brooklyn, but why did they do that? Just to build his stock to trade him, get a good trade.
Of course.
So why not do the same with Christian Wood? Because you have John Wall, who's back off injury. You have Boogie, who I don't know which side of the fence I'm on with Boogie. Because on one hand, I feel like he still has a little bit there. And on the other side, it's just like, man, I don't know if he could do it. But Christian Wood can get you a couple players that can fill the void of potentially what you need to start the process of rebuilding. You know what I mean? But again, I just do believe James Harden was just a bad investment. That just went south.
And that's the thing. A lot of teams are looking for that LeBron James type of generational talent when everybody's not built the same way. You cannot give everybody that type of power, because when you do, it really ends up biting you in the butt as an organization. It really does.
Yeah, 100%. Like, let me also ask you this, because if you look at it, who would you say is the best offensive player in the NBA?
Best offensive player in the NBA?
Yeah. Well, he was injured. He was injured for a year, but who would you give it to?
I mean, yeah, I would definitely give it to KD. KD is the best offensive weapon we've seen in recent memory.
Now, the crazy part is KD can't even take one player and win a championship by himself.
Right. He needs a crew. Yeah.
So when you find the LeBron James, that LeBron James comes once in a lifetime.
Right.
So all of these organizations putting the LeBron James expectation on these players
is unfair.
It's unfair.
Yeah.
You know how many dudes could not win a championship just because Jordan was around?
Right.
You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
So it's so tough to be that organization with that expectation and it not pan out, because it only goes sour from there. Because think about it. If James Harden stays in Houston, they do well during the season, and come playoff time, they give another coach 7 games to game plan on how to stop James Harden.
Right. And it's not that hard. Trust me.
It's simple.
Yeah.
I remember the year where the Jazz put the player on his back. they told him just jump on his. He should have had a saddle. The way they were riding James Harden, but that's the crazy part, and it becomes easy to stop him. So now you put James Harden in the same situation, but you add Kyrie and Kevin Durant. It changes the complete ball game.
Now, what is your thought process on the Nets? Like, do you think that the Nets are Or do you think that they have a shot to win an NBA title? Are
And
they the best team in the league to you?
Skill wise, that is the most unstoppable team. And I heard the discussion of Golden State with Kevin Durant and Brooklyn with Kevin Durant.
Yeah.
I looked at it as offensively, Brooklyn Nets Kevin Durant would have gave Golden State Kevin Durant hell. Because it's impossible to stop three dudes who can play the wing, point guard, and go to the basket.
Yeah, it's I've never seen a trio that offensively gifted on one team. Like, they can literally score 75 to 80 points a night. But the problem is that as good as they are offensively, they are awful defensively as a team.
100%.
And the thing
now,
is,
what does that remind you of?
It reminds me of Phoenix.
100%. So the difference with Phoenix, because remember, when Nash was playing on Phoenix, their issue was they had Joe Johnson, but they didn't have. Now, could you imagine that Phoenix team with Kevin Durant on the wing?
Right.
Because remember, Amari Stoudemire was unstoppable. Steve Nash was unstoppable. But they were still missing that one piece. But without that one piece, they were outscoring a lot of teams. They weren't able to win a championship, but the numbers were ridiculous.
Yeah.
Now you take a team that can outscore anybody. Now, the difference is the defensive part is what's going to be really tough for them. But BJ, like at the end of the day, when you talk about playoff basketball, that's a different element of basketball.
That's what I'm saying. That offense is going to come down, man. It's not going to be no high-scoring games like that.
Exactly. But when you think about it, majority of teams only have maybe one or two great defenders, you would say?
Yeah, of course.
So if Kyrie Irving is in trouble one night where he probably can't score 30, then you have to do something with James Harden.
Right.
If he's having an issue, then you got Kevin Durant to stop. Now, what people don't really pay attention to is Joe Harris is a sniper.
Yes, he is.
He is a problem. Jeff Green is playing basketball like we've never seen. But simply their confidence as every game goes, you can actually see their confidence building. And I don't mean James Harden, Durant. I'm talking about the others. You see it. DeAndre Jordan, who's a complete shell of himself.
Yeah, he's washed.
But you can see, like, the attempt. Like, you can see he picks it up. Like, you saw James Harden was screaming at him during one game.
Yeah.
For for not protecting the rim or whatever the case is. Right. I just think that's a team that I personally believe if you're the NBA, you make the most money with Brooklyn Nets at the helm of the East.
Well, yeah, I mean, they're definitely going to be they're going to be the Miami Heat. They're going to be the Golden State Warriors. They're going to be the marquee for the NBA going forward at least for the next 2 years or so. But my thing is that I love the offensive talent. I love it. But I've been around watching basketball too long to ever doubt that somebody can be able to really knock, like we seen the Miami Heat win 2 titles. They got to 4 finals in 4 years. But that first year, people don't remember that Dallas handed them the ass in the NBA Finals. Mm-hmm. So this can happen to this team because, I look at Philly. I look at a team like Milwaukee. I know a lot of people are down on Milwaukee right now. I am not going to be down on Milwaukee the entire season. They have new parts. Drew Holiday's still trying to figure it out with Giannis. I still feel that there's certain teams in that Eastern Conference that can be able to give the Nets more trouble than they really want. And I'm not crowning. So? Yeah, I'm not crowning the Nets right now. I just can't. I've watched too much basketball to do that. I can't do that.
I believe the Nets can be stopped.
Yeah.
But so you have faith in Giannis.
I have faith in the. Yes, I don't want to say complete faith because he's been it's been a little disappointing playoff wise for me, but because I'm starting to realize, or I don't want this to be true, that his numbers are hollow. You know what I mean?
You're talking about Giannis.
I'm talking about Giannis. Like,
Yeah,
I don't want to say that he puts up hollow numbers because, but if he ends up having another playoff failure, you have to push that narrative.
Well, what I think happened to Giannis is that they pulled the veil off and they exposed him for the past 2 playoffs.
Right. He can't shoot.
Boston showed how you're supposed to guard Giannis. And that was the year they put Al Horford to stand at the free throw line, and they just met him at the rim all game.
And you remember the fact that Giannis was allowing Al Horford to cut him off. I was
my God. No, 100%. So that's why I feel Giannis I think his next couple of years is going to be tough because you actually make it so much more difficult for all the other players because nobody fears you. So I can put my worst defender on Giannis to now make my better defenders guard the others, which is what's most important for Giannis.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I don't see how they can come close to stopping the Nets because the Nets are exactly what their poison is.
Yeah. I mean, that's fair, man. That's definitely fair. Now, what do you think about what's going on with the Lakers? Do you think that the Lakers are in trouble? The fact that Anthony Davis is now, they originally ruled him out 2 to 3 weeks with the calf strain. When I heard the news, because I know injuries so well, I automatically looked at it like, 2 to 3 weeks. I'm looking at it as 4 to 6. And then they came out and said he's definitely going to be out 4+ weeks. So, is this a concern for the Lakers going forward in regards to this season and also potentially next season? Because if that thing tears, man, they're not going to have him next year. And what does this do to first of all, what does it do to their championship window? Because LeBron James, we don't know how long LeBron's going to play. And the fact that he's playing so many minutes right now, that wasn't the plan. Like, what are your thoughts about the Lakers? Do you think that they need to make a move, or do they just need to stand pat and just wait for AD to get healthy and then, make that playoff push that we all know that they will?
Well, the one thing that I know that the Lakers geared up with was defenders. So you have Caldwell Pope, who's a willing defender, Wesley Matthews, who knows, his job as far as what he does in the NBA and what keeps his job. Have to have AD. There's no way possible. Now, only anybody on the inside knows. Now, because I feel like if you jump the gun, and it doesn't pan out, you look 10 times worse than if you didn't jump the gun.
Yeah.
And you actually believed in your product.
Right.
So I know with AD's injury, it's like a degrading injury more so than an actual injury, correct? With his Achilles and his calf?
Well, that's the thing. Calf strains, and they're more, I call calf strains the silent killer because it's what happened with KD in the playoffs. They ruled it as a calf strain, and what ended up happening, they cleared him, and he ended up popping the Achilles. The Achilles is very hard to diagnose because everything is attached, right?
Yeah.
So they're looking at all this pressure and all this inflammation in the calf when really and truly it's actually coming from lower than that. But if there's no significant tear, they can't say that it's actually an Achilles issue. It's going to feel like a calf strain. That's what's going on with AD. And I don't see how rest 4 to 6 weeks is going to help. I just don't see it. I think that they're in a real trouble here. Real trouble with this injury because this is not going to go away. This is going to be a nagging injury that may end up costing them another year and a half.
Yeah, man, and we all know Braun don't got that kind of time to solidify his legacy that he's trying to solidify.
Right.
Well, I mean, if I'm the Lakers, I'm riding it out.
Yeah.
just because I know the potential of the situation. Now, what I think helps them is that they could probably hold AD off way longer than they should.
Right.
Because I don't think Braun is caring about first place.
No,
being first in the West and all that.
That doesn't matter to him. Yeah.
Yeah, I think once playoff comes, but I do believe that Braun playing all these minutes,
it's a detriment.
It hurts just because it was a shortened off season.
Yes.
I'm sure he went in with a minutes restriction to basically gear him for the rest of the year until potentially playoff time. But now, like you said, he's seeing so much minutes. Who knows? But again, we're still talking LeBron James. The guy's a freak of nature.
Right.
You know what I mean? So we don't really know. But I do believe no AD, no chip. It's impossible. AD does and affects way too much that complements, let's say, LeBron James.
Yeah.
It wouldn't happen because what LeBron is missing to continue these wins, nobody else on that team can provide.
Yeah, it definitely.
Now, I don't know what they can do trade-wise. But if you're trading, what are you trading? Like what would you trade? Like what do you think would be like a good scenario to kind of like hold the fort down? You know what I mean? Until AD can return.
Well, I don't think that I'm hearing there's a lot of rumor that they're looking at Mo Bamba from the Orlando Magic. But The problem with that is that who are you sending to Orlando? They're so far over the taxpayers, thing that, the penalty or whatever it is that they have to make sure that they get close to matching whatever Mo Bamba's contract. I think is like $5.5 million. But are you sending Thornton Tucker there? You're not sending him there because he's a part of your future. Are you going to give up on Marc Gasol? No, you're not going to do that because he's only making like $2.5 million anyway. There's not much wiggle room that they have to make a trade. This is where they're in now. Where they're going to strike gold is in the buyout market. There's rumors that Blake Griffin, one of your all-time favorite players, Blake Griffin has some interest in joining the Lakers if he is bought out. What do you think that at this stage of his career, does he have anything left to give? Because Blake Griffin hasn't dunked a ball in 2 years.
I was just about to say that. I just seen a video that said he hasn't dunked since 19.
Yeah, he is a shell of himself physically.
So let me ask you a question then. So when Blake went to Detroit,
yes.
Now I don't remember it too clear, but I don't remember him going to Detroit and being excited about being.
No. He remember he was not happy about getting traded in the first place because remember
exactly.
He signed a deal with the Clippers that offseason, and then when he was eligible to get traded, they shipped him out to Detroit.
Exactly, and that's what I was gonna say because I remember he wasn't happy to be in Detroit.
No.
Now, I parallel this to Dwight Howard.
Okay.
Dwight Howard played for all these teams and the drive wasn't there.
Yes.
Right? So when you seen him come back to the Lakers last year, what was everybody saying about Dwight? Oh my God, LeBron revived. Yeah, basically resurrected Dwight Howard. He's almost looking like the old Dwight. He's playing hard. You can see it. Now, I look at Blake and say, is he missing a LeBron James push? Right? Because remember, before AD got to LA, he was hurt every other game.
Yeah.
Injury prone every other game. He's AD sitting out. That's why I never picked him in fantasy. Right? So now he's on the LeBron diet and all this kind of stuff. And he's fighting. You see him fighting through injuries.
Yes.
So I do believe if Blake was to come, I don't care what anybody says. When you know you're going to play with someone like Kobe, LeBron, Mike, you can't come in there half-stepping.
That's true.
You know what I mean? So could it be something that Blake needs? Potentially. Who knows? Because think about it. What drive do you have in Detroit?
None.
If you're an older body where you can't take the abuse the way you used to, you're going to kill yourself and make it worse only to still go 25 and you understand what I'm saying? So if you give Blake, and this could just be me being a fan. I've always been a fan. If you can give Blake the opportunity to come to LA where the demand of work is not that much, give him his spots and his spurts, he's going to excel. Because now you take 35 minutes of dependency and you drop it to 10 minutes of dependency, I'm able to give you more in 10 than I would give you in 30. Right? So you having LeBron doing that, why not? I can guarantee you'd catch a dunk at 21. I can guarantee you that, and then God willing, you have AD who comes back. Then you have AD beating up on the power forwards, and then you send in Blake right behind him.
Right.
No, that's gonna be a problem.
Yeah, listen, I remember when I heard the news, I was like, Then I was like, no, I don't want this to happen because he's Clipper scum. I don't want any Clipper scum on my team. And then I thought about it, as I had to get my hate out of there. And I said, from a basketball standpoint, Blake Griffin has a skill set. He's a very good passer. He turned himself into a very good outside shooter. Mm-hmm. He's never been a great defender, and physically, as his body, starts to slow down and deteriorate a little bit, he's going to be an even worse defender. But he does bring a skill set to this team, especially off the bench. If you're, like you said, if you're playing him 20, 25 minutes a game, you can be able to keep his body fresh without asking a lot from him because you have other guys that you can be able to throw in to help him. You have a Montrezl Harrell, you have a Marc Gasol, you have Kyle Kuzma, you have all of these guys, and then when AD comes back. So there's a lot of things that they can be able to do with a Blake Griffin. And I wouldn't be mad if it happened. If they bought him, if Detroit bought him out and he ends up signing a short deal with the Lakers, I'll be okay with it. But he is Clipper scum. And
BJ, you got to open up the basement door.
No.
Let him upstairs, man.
Leave him downstairs with the dehumidifier and the space heater. Leave him down there. All right. But what are your thoughts also on the Utah Jazz? Everybody is talking about the Jazz. They're busting everybody up. Do you think the Jazz are for real?
I think, in my opinion, I think they're the same Jazz from last year.
Yes, they are.
I don't think they did anything this year that impressed me personally.
Yeah.
I think they're continuing what they did last year.
Right.
But the only problem with a Jazz team like that is that they're going to have to run into Denver again.
Yes.
Like when you looked at even last night's game, Clippers didn't play that well. In the fourth quarter, they did well. And I do want to talk to you about Paul George, too.
Yes.
But any team that's able to, because you'll never be able to stop, Donovan Mitchell and Gobert. But if you can have some kind of containment with those two, you easily beat them.
Right.
You easily beat them. And I go back to last year's playoff when Donovan Mitchell went for when he destroyed.
He averaged like 40 for the series.
He destroyed them. But all they did was they said, all right, cool. We're going to let him go crazy, but we're just going to do everything we're going to do everything with the others to not allow it to happen. Because all they do now is pick and roll. And they do pick and roll basketball. Joe Ingles to me, is a shell of himself.
Yeah.
He got injured and he came back from his injury and he's not even playing great ball, but they're still killing people.
Right.
And everybody know basketball is a game of runs. And right now, the Jazz are just hot.
They're hot. Yeah.
They're hot, dude. They're hot. And their confidence is building too. So, but they're not nothing exceptional for me. I think they're the same Jazz from last year.
Nah, listen, I 100% agree with you, man. I think what separates them from last year is the fact that Bogdanovich is now healthy. You have
Clarkson. That's balling out of control.
Clarkson is playing well. Well. You got Mike Conley that's actually healthy and he looks like himself again. He didn't look like himself last year. So you have these extra two guys here that are producing and they're contributing. It's great. What holds this team back is the same person that's been holding them back for years. It's Rudy
Gobert. I knew you were gonna say.
You know that I've been consistent with my Rudy Gobert criticism. You cannot be paying a guy $38 million to average 13 points a game, 13 rebounds, and 2.5 blocks. They do not need a guy like that with that cap structure on their team. If they were to trade a Rudy Gobert and to get another 3-and-D wing or another superstar wing or a star wing and then get a rim running big, they'd be the same team. They'd literally be the same team. You can take out Rudy Gobert, put in a Nerlens Noel with another wing star like Donovan Mitchell. That team is still good. It's still good.
Yeah. Agreed.
So they're gonna go as far as Rudy Gobert can take him, and Rudy Gobert can't take you any farther than the curb. So this is what's wrong with them, is that they're not gonna be able to kind of use him in the playoffs. Because think about the teams that go small. What are you doing with a Rudy Gobert in the playoffs?
Yeah,
can't do nothing but sit him.
Yeah.
So that's $38 million on your bench.
And if you remember against Denver, Jokic had him on the perimeter.
Yeah. Like he played good defense against Jokic, but at the end of the day, you can't slow down Jokic.
Yeah. And any other team who goes against, and I don't know. I do like with Jazz, to me, is a tricky team. I think I give Gobert a little bit more credit than you give him. Only because his height, and I do believe his numbers are terrible for a person making that kind of money.
He should be 20 and 15
easily. But again, their offense isn't geared around getting Gobert 20.
Yes.
Like Donovan Mitchell dominates that offense. And I do give Gobert, I think he's a center that a lot of NBA teams would want.
Of course.
I think when you make that kind of money, your expectation.
Yes, exactly. It goes up.
Is what goes up. So when you're not meeting those guidelines of 37 million, immediately you look worse than what you actually are. And that's why I say he's a decent big man, but he's getting star quality money.
Yes.
So him averaging 13, which is terrible.
Yeah. Awful.
Just because he's way taller than the average big man on the court.
Yeah,
so the fact that he can't dominate for an easy 20.
Yeah, it bothers me.
It's crazy. Yeah,
it bothers me, man. Every time, listen, I'm not gonna lie to you. Like maybe I'm a little biased, but every time I see Rudy Gobert, I just get upset. Like the game don't even have to start yet, and I see Rudy Gobert and I get upset because it's like I know what I'm getting. I know at the end of the night it's gonna be 14 points, 19 rebounds, 3 blocks, and it's like no, that's not what I want out of somebody making that type of cheese, man. I don't.
Are you at least happy with the blocks per game?
I am happy. Listen, he's a great defender. I get it, but that's not worth $37 million. It ain't.
Yeah.
That's worth about 15.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Once you come back with the argument of 37 million, you always win.
Right, exactly.
You always win. There's no way to lose that. There's no way to lose that.
Now, you wanted to talk a little bit about the man that I really don't like to say his name on my show, but Paul George. What
about George Paul?
Yeah, George Paul, Waldo George, Panic P. What are your thoughts on him? You had something to say about the Clippers, and the Clippers right now, I think they're 22-9. They're playing well, but to me, they still look like a team that doesn't like to play with each other. Like they look like a team that they're just out there. They're just out there with the talent. They have talent, but they don't look like they like each other. What are your thoughts about the Clippers and Paul George?
Well, if you look at I look at what Montrezl Harrell said.
Yes.
When he spoke about the Clippers, when he was saying Kawhi practices when he wants, he plays when he wants. I think he said the same thing with Paul George.
Yes.
When you have that chemistry, is like chemistry with any team is obvious.
Yes.
To any basketball eye, you notice when a team is in sync.
Right.
This team is nowhere near in sync.
No, they're not.
They're not in sync at all. It just looks like they have a bunch of good players that go out there and just kind of play rec.
Yeah, exactly.
Like basketball.
Yes.
Because when Paul George comes off a screen, everybody stops and it's move. And, Kawhi, same thing. But the reason why I mentioned Paul George was because he falls under the same category of I need 2 or 3 players.
Right.
It's just because he's able to dribble, he's able to shoot, he's able to dunk, we automatically put him on the pedestal.
Yes.
Of being that kind of player, especially the player he was in Indiana.
Right.
Because his potential in Indiana looked like he was the next up and coming.
Next Tracy McGrady.
100%. So us giving him that expectation and then him disappointing you every year, it's our fault.
Yeah.
For continuing to hold him at that
It's
with
true.
that expectation.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So every year you're going to keep saying Waldo P. He's not playoff P. Yeah, because he's actually not.
Yeah.
Why are we even justifying?
He gave himself that name. Nobody gave him that name.
But that's what I'm saying. So
right.
him saying that and us buying into it.
Yes.
And then buying his bad product. we're the ones left like, yo, I bought this trash.
Exactly. I bought this defective shirt for $70.
Like, damn it, if I just had the receipt, I could just take the sucker back. You get what I'm saying? So
yeah.
And that's why I feel like it's our fault with Paul George. It's our fault. Now, don't get me wrong. He came into the season with the mindset of
business. Yeah.
You know what? I'm glad you lost the receipt.
Yeah.
Because he was balling. But at the end of the day, dude, he's gonna show himself because pressure affects different people differently, bro.
Correct. Yes.
Kawhi Leonard is built for pressure.
Right.
He's proved it. Paul George is not built for pressure.
Right.
The best pressure situation they put him in was OKC.
Yeah.
It was OKC.
And he ran.
In that market, he had the helm to ISO ball.
Right. If he wanted to, he could have had the city if he wanted to. And the Oklahoma City, that fan base, they're so loyal to their players. They as long as you play hard and you commit to the organization, they will love you forever. And that to me, I think when I started to sour on Paul George is when he said that he wanted to be in LA. Then he ended up, getting traded to the OKC Thunder. Then, come free agency time now, he doesn't even give the Lakers an interview or a sit down because he's like, oh, well, you should have traded for me. You should have traded the house for me. That's not good business. Why would I trade the house for you when I know I can be able to sign your ass to free agency and keep all my young players and we have a team? We have a team to put around you. But your ego is too high that you think that people are supposed to trade everything for you. You're not LeBron James.
Exactly. And you're not even built to take over a team.
Right. You're not built to be a number one. So why would they do that? And it's like everywhere he's gone, that follows him. That black cloud just follows Paul George.
I agree.
And the thing is, for Kawhi Leonard, it's really poetic to me that he pulled this power move to go to LA and you chose that guy to team up with. Of all the people, you could have waited a year. You could have been like, you know what, let me go to LA by myself for 1 year. Let me average 35 points a game. Let me put up, let me play 40 games for this season, call it a wrap, and maybe I can recruit somebody else. No. You called that guy.
Do you think the pressure of Toronto is what caused Kawhi to make that rush decision?
No, I think what happened with Kawhi is that he was the man and he pulled power moves that only guys in his position can do. Like Uncle Dennis, we heard rumors about Uncle Dennis asking for obnoxious things from teams.
Yeah,
And
you talking about Uncle GM Dennis?
Right. And Masai Ujiri was like, man, you got to be crazy. Like, I think there was a rumor that said that Kawhi and the camp had asked them to trade Pascal Siakam for Paul George. And Masai was like, nah, not gonna happen. So Kawhi was pulling all of these power broker moves behind the scenes. And think about this. Think about how desperate the Clippers have to be, right? Rumor is that Kawhi Leonard went to management and said, look, man, I'm going to sign with the Lakers if you guys don't get me Paul George. So what, as the organization, what do? Is either you bend to his will or you're going to lose him to the Lakers. So he knew that he can pull that type of nonsense with them because the Clippers organization and that franchise has been desperate for decades. They have nothing. And now they have two guys on their team. They now signed Paul George to a 5-year extension worth $220-something million. They have Kawhi Leonard for at least this year. We don't know what's going to happen next year because this is the last year that he can be able to. I think he has a player option for next season. So we'll see if he extends or he leaves. But they are stuck with these two personalities that don't fit together. They just don't fit together. This team does not fit together, and they're just going through the motions. And I'm not going to lie to you. I love it. I love to see it. They're sharing.
What makes it beautiful is that you got crazy Pat Bev.
Yeah, nut job Pat Bev in the whole process. Like, it's I don't know, man. I don't know.
I do. To me, Clippers have potential.
They do.
Now, I do believe they need more.
Yeah,
they definitely need more. Because if you. The beauty, I think, with Toronto for Kawhi was that they had Kyle Lowry.
They had a ready-made team already. They had leadership already. He didn't have to be a leader.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They had somebody who, because everybody knows Kawhi is not a vocal dude.
No.
He's not a vocal dude. So when you had a leader in Kyle Lowry who already established some type of chemistry or bond with the team that they all understand each other.
Right.
Kawhi, being a quiet dude, I come to play, fit right in.
Exactly. They didn't worry about him.
It's not hard to fit into a system like that.
Yeah,
all I got to do is come and play my hardest, and we're going to win, and they win a chip.
Right.
But the reason why I was saying was when he left Toronto after winning a championship, do you think it's a smart thing to, like, and that's why I was asking you, do you think it was the pressure? Because would a player of his caliber go to another team and then say, I'm going to sacrifice another year fresh off of a championship? Well, that's why I feel like his call for Paul George was rushed, simply because he felt like, all right, I just won a championship with Toronto. If I can go to the Clippers, who's available? Because I need to win another chip.
Well, I think
remember, all year it was you guys.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead. Finish your point.
No, I was saying that he got another player who was not like him, but had similarities. Paul George, everybody knows, was not as much before, but was a willing defender.
Yes.
He can shoot, he can dribble, he can actually play the game. He can kind of complement Kawhi, which is what we thought initially.
Yes.
Now, they were playing defensively. They were amazing because the team was just amazing. They still had Montrezl Harrell.
Yes.
They had the players that were good enough to win a championship. They just couldn't do it because you can see they have no real chemistry.
Right.
So that's why I feel like he rushed with Paul George, because the pressure of leaving a championship to then going to another team and then doing terrible would make him look that much worse for leaving Toronto, you know?
Yeah, I sort of agree with your point. I think what happened with Kawhi Leonard is that I think he overplayed his hand. I think that what happened with him is that he thought that he was made, like he was king made in regards to, okay, I went to Toronto, I won the chip. People are going to flock to LA to want to come play with me because of what I just did. And when that didn't happen, he was looking at it like, hey, Jimmy, you want to come to LA? Nah, man, I'm going to Miami. Hey, Kyrie, you want to come to LA? Nah, I'm going to Brooklyn. Hey, KD, you want to come to? Nah, I'm going to Brooklyn. Like, everybody already had their plans, and he didn't realize that he didn't have the cachet to be able to lure these top names to the Clippers because that's what he wanted. He thought that the Clippers were going to be the next, the biggest show on earth because he can go ahead and win the championship in Toronto and then build this conglomerate dynasty on the Clippers and then possibly win back-to-back championships with two different organizations. He would have been made. They were already, if you remember the ESPN, they had some tickers that were going on around that time that they were comparing him to Jordan, like what he was doing. I'm like, okay, I see what's going on now. I see the narrative that they're trying to push. So obviously that's going to, as if you have your entourage, your team, they're going to be feeding this stuff into you. Like, listen, man, we can be able to go here and we can be made. Like, guys are going to be wanting to come here, flock here, and we're going to be able to dominate the league. That's what he thought was going to happen, but he definitely overplayed his hand. So, he has what he has, and I don't know what's going to happen in the future. But do you see Kawhi Leonard actually staying with the Clippers after the season?
No.
Right.
But to be honest, I don't see why, because I feel like the floor is crumbling from right under him. It's just getting worse and worse. And I don't even mean by even the media alone is just getting worse and worse. Because, and again, I go back to the word expectation, because no matter what Kawhi does, he can always just blame the organization and get off. Yeah. Because he's proven.
Right. He's
shown that I can go to a team and will a team to a championship. I showed you that I can do it. So this is not something you've never seen before.
Right. It's a you issue, not me. Right.
Yeah, 100%. So he can just say, look, dude, it's the Clippers. They have no clue how to manage a team and all this kind of stuff. I want out. And any other team is still going to say, Kawhi, listen, I need you.
Yes, exactly.
You know what I mean? So I think that the real person that would have the problem with that would be Paul George. Paul George would be stuck with a situation that's just sucky for him, because he has, no matter what he does, he's just going to look back.
Wouldn't that be fitting for me?
And I was going to say, and then BJ is on the radio doing a whole Paul George segment. And then he's going to throw a little Rudy Gobert in there.
Rudy Gobert, that man. Now, let's talk a little football before we close out. Now, what are your thoughts about the whole Deshaun Watson situation? Like, do you think that it's smart for Houston to trade him? And if he does get traded, where do you think the perfect fit for him is?
Oh, you know what team I'm going to say. I do believe if you're Houston, you have a gem on your hands. Yeah. So whatever your plan is, it doesn't matter what your plan is, Deshaun Watson can start it.
Yeah, exactly.
Because there's no team in the NFL right now besides, Kansas City or teams like that wouldn't want Deshaun Watson.
He's a top 5 quarterback.
And that's a player you give almost a house for, you can.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And to me, I say send him to San Francisco.
But here's the thing now. I'm hearing rumors about San Francisco that they would be willing to part with a Nick Bosa.
And that's that's the only thing that makes me uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Now, I would say good thing, because injury is never a good thing, but you're also still talking about someone fresh off of an ACL. Now, it's not like basketball.
Yeah.
Football is way more overpowering.
Especially on the defensive line. Yeah.
And exactly. And he's on a line where that's probably one of the most important ligaments to have at 100%.
Right.
Man, San Francisco was amazing defensively.
Yes, they were.
So you giving up Nick Bosa is, to me, that's a huge chunk. Now we just got the defensive tackle too. the young guys. So our front line is elite. Our front line is always amazing.
Yeah.
So I mean, to be honest with you, like I wouldn't even know how to feel about that. I wouldn't even know how to, because Nick Bosa is a problem. They are so scared of him, dude. I watched the game, and I literally just watch him defensively.
Nah, he's an animal, man. He's an animal.
Yeah, he changes a game. He's a complete game changer, and every team needs that, man. Right. Every team needs someone like that. Now, my thing is too, J.J. Watt is getting old.
Yeah.
I'm sure he's not looking for nothing.
Nah, he's not looking for no big change like that. Yeah.
I'm sure he's not looking for top dollar. Now, if I'm San Francisco, can I trade off Nick Bosa, maybe a draft pick, some other pieces, and go for Deshaun Watson and then have a conversation with J.J. Watt? Because I could see him filling in Nick Bosa's shoes, and I would say causing the same havoc because Nick Bosa is just different.
Yeah.
But why not? Why not? I don't see why not.
Yeah, I mean, listen, San Francisco makes a ton of sense if the Texans, do give in to Deshaun Watson's demands. But here's the problem with Deshaun Watson. The fact that he's making $39 million a year, and you're going to want such an overhaul for him. You're going to want 3 first-round draft picks. You're probably going to want another young player to just kind of spice up the deal. You're literally Carmelo Anthonying your team just to acquire a Deshaun Watson. So he wants to leave the Houston Texans because he doesn't trust management, but as well as the product on the field, that there's not enough talent to be able to help him win, right? If you go ahead and change the location, you're going to have to gut the team anyway to get him. So
and
think
put
about
him
it.
right back in the situation.
Put him back into the same situation. So, like, you had the Jets. Everybody's talking about that the Jets are a perfect situation because they have the cap space. They have the draft capital. It's a perfect situation for Deshaun to play in because it's a big market. He can be able to excel in a big market. But if you put that $39 million in there and give up all of those draft picks and they don't have any weapons on the outside because they need to fill that team out, he's going to be in the same situation. I'm hearing about Carolina as well. They're thinking about trading Christian McCaffrey and a couple of picks for Deshaun Watson. Now, if you trade McCaffrey, what else do you have on that team? You don't have anything. So every situation that Deshaun Watson finds himself in, it's going to be a team that does not have much. And to me, it's like, all right, we understand that Houston made some terrible decisions. They gave Bill O'Brien too much power to allow him to be able to trade DeAndre Hopkins for nothing, all because they had a personal problem, right? We get that. But they fired him. They hired a new GM. They hired David Culley as their head coach. They have Lovie Smith as their defensive coordinator. They got 2 black men that are leading the charge for their coaching staff. Try to give them a shot to try to fix this. Like, give them a chance to try to correct the wrongs that they've made. And that's the way I look at it.
Okay, so you want Deshaun Watson to stay?
Yes, he's a franchise quarterback. How many players can you actually say, or how many times in history can you actually say that a top 5 quarterback in his prime, not even in his prime, he's 25 years old, gets traded? It doesn't happen. It doesn't happen.
Yeah.
So, like, as a franchise, it's like, yo, we gave you this money because we are investing in you. We didn't give you the money to trade you. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I don't see how any other situation football wise is going to be conducive. Maybe front office in regards to him trusting the front office. Okay, cool. But on the field is where you're going to make your money, not the trust or the lack of trust that you have in the front office. If you don't have the players to be able to help you win, it's going to end bad for you, no matter how much money you're making.
Now, what do you believe Houston should, because if he's going back to Houston, right, he's going back to what?
Well, they have Cooks. They have, their weapons are average. They don't have great weapons.
Yeah.
But I can see how they can possibly be able to restructure some deals And, maybe they don't have first round picks for this year or next year, but, they need to possibly get a better scouting department, draft some offensive linemen. There's a ton of receivers in this draft that you can be able to get in the second round, third round, fourth round. This talent is wide receiver driven. It really is. There's some good running backs that you can be able to get in this draft, in the second, third, fourth rounds. So there's some skill position players that you can be able to surround Deshaun Watson with. Now, are they going to be ready this year? No, but they're going to be ready 2 years from now. So, it's just when you're a quarterback, when you're the leader of the team, every organization goes through their cyclical periods where it's up and down. Like, you're going to have your struggling times. You're going to have your fruitful times. They're struggling right now. Who's to say that they can't turn it around with this new regime, with David Culley, with Lovie Smith? Who's to say that?
Yeah. And also, but what I think it is too is him making that much money. Do you believe that him making that much money and anything short of a decent season, he's going to get bashed simply because he's making that kind of money?
Of course.
So to me, I think if he stays there this year and they don't even have a decent season, I think it makes the coaches, even though it's probably not really what it is, but it actually makes the coaches look worse.
And it gives them more reason to be able to now seek a trade. Like, if you give it a shot for a year and it doesn't work out, then okay, cool. Then, let them figure it out. But I would hope that he tries to give them a shot. Just give it a chance to see if things can be able to work out. That's just my opinion. I think I'm in the minority with that particular take, but I just look at it like, listen, you're the quarterback of the team. It's going to be very hard for them to move you. Like, look at what we just saw with Philadelphia and Carson Wentz. They literally traded him for pennies.
Yeah. Yeah. But do you think that was more because of his production?
No, it's the fact that he had soured on the organization. The fact that he's your high-priced quarterback, he's your highly paid quarterback, and you decide to bench him for a rookie that can't throw the football.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, that was bad work.
Like, think about it. How do you go back to Carson Wentz after going to him? After going to Jalen Hurts, you seeing how terrible he looks throwing the football. There's no weapons around Carson Wentz. The offensive line is poor. Everybody's hurt, but you're blaming Wentz for the reason why the team looks bad? No. So as Wentz, he's gonna be like, nah, I'm good. And there's a rumor out there, a report that him and Doug Peterson didn't speak for like 10 weeks. 10 to 12 weeks out of the season, he didn't say a word to Doug Peterson.
Wow.
He was done. Yeah. Because if he's looking at it like, yo, you're supposed to trust me to be able to figure this out. I'm taking all these sacks. I'm taking all these hits. And you bench me for a rookie?
Yeah.
It's not even Nick Foles. It's not even Nick Foles you bench me for, right? If it was Nick Foles, you could probably understand it because Nick Foles has a statue in front of the damn arena. But for a rookie? Nah, get me out of here. Get me out of here.
Yeah, man. That's the sucky thing. I just think Carson Wentz has terrible luck.
Yeah.
I think the luck that he's gotten since he's gotten it. But and the crazy thing is that he's actually a decent quarterback.
He's not bad. He's
definitely not bad. Like, I do believe that the year he got hurt when Foles took over,
17,
I believe he could have still potentially took him to that chip.
Listen, he was the leading candidate for the MVP before he got hurt.
I do believe that. Now, after that year, I seen the decline.
Right.
It was just a decline. I don't look at him now as a good quarterback anymore.
No.
But then again, it could be situational. His line is terrible. He has no weapons.
Right.
So that I'm sure can play a role. But now, with everything that's going on with Doug Peterson, you can kind of understand. But I tell you what, though, he's going to ball out.
Yes, he is.
In Indianapolis.
Because remember, here's the thing. The offensive coordinator that was on the team that year in 2017 when he had his MVP, a season prior to getting hurt, was Frank Reich. who's the head coach of the Indianapolis Colts, Frank Reich.
So he's essentially going home.
Yes. So I remember when they benched him the first time. I said to Guido, I said, he's going to the Colts. You know that, right? Frank Reich wants his quarterback. That's his quarterback. That's the guy that made Carson Wentz look the best in the NFL. He's going to make sure that he looks good again. The Colts have a great offensive line. They have a good running attack. They got good young pieces on the outside. They have a good defense. Carson Wentz is going to ball out. He's going to ball out.
And they had a great season this year also.
With Phillip Rivers that turns the ball over.
Exactly. With Phillip Rivers.
Right.
Who was a gunslinger.
Right.
Yeah, no, so for sure, I do believe Indiana is going to be a problem next year.
They're going to be good.
They're definitely going to be a problem.
Now, go ahead.
Go ahead. I'm listening.
Yeah, what do you think about, my Dallas Cowboys, man? What do you think about?
It's so funny because I was just about to bring up
this Dak Prescott, Jerry Jones situation here. Rich, I ain't gonna lie to you, man. I am in the minority with a lot of things. I don't want Dak Prescott to be on the team. I don't want him.
Yeah, BJ, and I hate to agree with you on something like this, but I agree with you.
Yeah.
I agree with you. I don't think Dak is a cowboy-like quarterback, man.
No,
I don't think he fits. But the crazy part to me is that when you look at his numbers, it's deceiving as hell.
Yes.
You would look at his numbers and be amazed and say, "No, he's an amazing quarterback." That's
exactly.
Those are the numbers you want in a quarterback. But the eye test to me is what shows I don't think he's as good a quarterback as he needs. Like then again, you have Zeke, who I don't know what's going on with him. I don't see it. I mean, you guys have an amazing wide receiver core. You have the pieces to, I think, contend. And I just don't see, because Dak is not really I don't look at him like a quarterback that dominates.
Yeah, he's not
a dominating quarterback.
He's not an Aaron Rodgers type of QB1. He's a starter, yes, but he's not like what we're hearing right now is that it's possible that Jerry is going to have to pony up $40 million for Dak Prescott. No. If you pay Dak Prescott $40 million, you can forget about ever contending for a playoff spot again, because you're starting to see, like, just to have a little context, Russell Wilson is starting to complain a little bit in Seattle. He's not making a big stink, but he's saying, listen, I would like to have some protection here. But here's the problem. Russell Wilson was on one of the worst teams he's ever been on in his career. Offensively, they were terrible. The offensive line has always been terrible under him. The running game has always been bad. Their defense this year was one of the worst defenses in football ever. And to think about it, they traded 2 first-round picks for a box safety in Jamal Adams. Think about that.
Yeah.
So, and I say all of this, why? Because how can they improve the team offensively as well as defensively when Russell Wilson is making $35+ million a year? You can't. So
no, you can't.
You see it with Tom Brady. Tom Brady won a Super Bowl.
Bro, you took the words right out of my mouth.
And this is the first time in Tom Brady's career, Rich, that he's made $25 million. He's never made $25 million other than this year. So we're talking about the greatest of all time, the greatest winner of all time in football. And when he was in New England, he was taking $15 million, $14 million, $17 million, $19 million, maybe 20 on a year or two. He never made more than $25 million in a season. That's why he has 7 Super Bowls.
Exactly. And it makes him look genius because all he's telling teams is that I want to win.
Yeah, that's all I care about.
I'll take $15 million less so that you can give me a piece that can solidify a championship with me.
Right.
Now,
yes.
now when you're taking that 15 million and you're saying, let me pocket it and not get nobody else,
you get what you asked for.
Yeah, you set yourself up for failure.
Right.
Now, I think Jerry Jones will be a complete idiot to give Dak Prescott, who's unproven.
Right.
I like, no matter how many years he's played, I still haven't seen that year from Dak where I was like, you know what? That's a franchise quarterback.
Yeah.
I still haven't seen it. So to give him $40 million.
Right.
Now, don't get me wrong. Dallas they have a team.
Offensively, yes.
They have a team. Now, to take 15 mil of that and go get some defenders.
Right.
Why not?
Exactly.
Why not? So
Exactly.
I do believe that them paying that much for Dak Prescott, which will put expectation on him, all he's going to do is just remain Dak Prescott.
Exactly.
Now he's coming off of injury, which is going to make him a little bit less than the regular Dak Prescott.
Exactly. That's my whole point. Like, here's people's logic. Like, I hear Dallas Cowboys fans all the time, and I have to scratch my head. I had this dude tell me, oh, yeah, they got to sign Dak because, they gave Zeke his money. They gave Amari his money. They gave, DeMarcus Lawrence his money. Why not give Dak his money? I said, hold on. So your rationale for Dak getting paid is the fact that Jerry overpaid for all of these other guys, so he should just overpay for Dak too. That doesn't make sense. So the fact that the one time in Jerry's life that he's actually trying to be fiscally responsible, everybody's killing him for it. Like, if he signs Dak Prescott to $40 million and Dak ends up like being like he doesn't meet the expectation, they're going to trash him. And what team is going to be able to take that money on? You're going to have to release him or try to restructure that deal, and you're still going to be on the hook in regards to cap hit wise. Like, look at the Eagles. They traded Carson Wentz, and they're still on the hook for $33 million on their books. All because you made a mistake.
Yeah.
You don't want to make a mistake at the quarterback position. You can be able to make a mistake at the running back position. You saw the Rams, they were able to get out of that deal. You can be able to make mistakes on the defensive side of the football or even at wide receiver. You cannot make a mistake at quarterback giving a guy that much money because you are going to pay for it and pay for it big. And that's my thing. So if I'm Jerry Jones, if I'm Stephen Jones, I say to Dak, listen, we have this franchise tag here for you, but we are telling you don't sign it. Go hit free agency. And if you get a deal that is favorable to you, call us and let us know, and we'll see if we can match it. If not, you go ahead and take that deal, or if we want to match it, then that's our choice. But I guarantee you, Rich, if Dak hits free agency right now, he's not getting $40 million from anyone.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. And I think that plan is perfect. Go out there to see how appealing you are.
Yeah.
The reality of his game and what other teams would want from him, it's not 40 mil. It's not 40 mil worth. It's nowhere near 40 mil worth. So, because 20, I would, and I'm only saying this because of the injury. I feel like he's somewhere in the 20s.
He's 25 to $30 million a year. That's it. That is it.
And I wouldn't even go 30.
Right.
I wouldn't even go 30. So if he want to sign a 2-year deal, and then say, look, you got 2 years to show us that you're actually worth something more. Because he's still young. He still has a lot of time.
Right. He's 27, 26, something like that?
And Tom Brady's showing you that you could do that at 43.
Listen, Tom Brady
44, 45.
Tom Brady is 59 years old, still winning Super Bowl.
Which, so that's why I think Dallas would be ridiculous to give that kind of money fresh off of that injury.
Yeah.
One of Dak's biggest strengths was his legs.
Yeah.
He was able to escape. He was able to get out the pocket, to help his game. Now you're talking about a guy who snapped his leg in half, and you're going to take that chance? No. As much investments I'm sure Jerry's made, I know he doesn't think this is a good investment.
Of course not. If he
There's no way.
if he thought it was a good investment, he would have signed Dak a year ago. So
Yeah, man.
you know, it is what it is, man. But Rich, you know, we're gonna definitely wrap up now. But you know, before we wrap up, I'd like to do a little rapid fire where I ask you, you know, certain questions about certain guys, or I just say who's better, and you know, you give me an answer. This is just your opinion. We're not gonna go back and forth on it. So I'm gonna start with better player, Tracy McGrady or James Harden.
I'd go Tracy.
Tracy, okay. Who would you rather take, Steph Curry or Allen Iverson?
Steph Curry. Steph Curry, dude.
Better point guard, John Stockton or Steve Nash?
Damn, these are good questions. Point guard, John Stockton.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Whose triple-double looked better, Jason Kidd or Russell Westbrook?
Jason Kidd, hands down.
Okay, who's better all time, LeBron James or Magic Johnson?
Lebanon James. I'll never deny that. Because, yeah, but you said we won't debate.
Nah, go ahead, man. You can go into it a little bit.
Magic was great. And I'll never deny Magic being great. Magic didn't possess what Braun possesses, dude.
Yeah.
Because I don't care what nobody said. And I know I never really like to play the hypotheticals because at the end of the day, it's a different time, different day and age. But hypothetically, if you had LeBron running up and down those courts with those dudes on the court where on a team of 15 guys, 14 of them never hit the weight room. Could you imagine what it would be like? No.
Yeah.
I'd take. Now, the IQ, I don't think the IQ is that far off at all.
No, it's not.
I think skill set wise, maybe Magic, but I still see LeBron James being any team would have took LeBron James over Magic.
Yeah,
I don't care what nobody says.
Definitely. Let's see. Better big three. The Miami Heatles with LeBron, Wade, and Bosh, or the Brooklyn Nets?
Brooklyn Nets. Bro, yo, I know everybody's always said you would never see a big three like Steph, Clay, KD. Bro, I don't think the NBA would ever see a big three like Kyrie, James Harden. You have three of the top four scorers in the NBA on one team.
Right. Three of the best one-on-one ISO guys in history.
Yeah, on one team. This will never, ever happen again.
Right. Let's see. Better quarterback, Aaron Rodgers or Pat Mahomes?
Aaron Rodgers.
Okay. This is a cross-sport question. Better winner, Tom Brady or Tim Duncan? Because they're very similar.
Yeah, dude.
They both sacrificed money. They both won a lot of championships, and their organization dominated their sport for 20 years.
I'll tell you why. I know it's not really debating, but it'd be quick. I'll tell you why I say Tom Brady. Because Tim Duncan had a bunch of Hall of Famers with him doing it.
That's fair.
Tom Brady had how many, would you say? And even some of the Hall of Famers that he had, Gronk is guaranteed to be a Hall of Famer. You got Randy Moss in there too.
Right.
He's played with people, but he hasn't dominated with them all throughout.
Yes.
Tom Brady's been here. He's been every team he's had has been different. And every year Tim Duncan won, the team was amazing.
Yeah.
Whereas Tom Brady, every team he won with wasn't amazing.
Right. Let's see. Last one. Better dynasty. Golden State Warriors or the Kobe and Shaq era?
Kobe and Shaq era.
Okay.
No. I thought you would have probably brought up like the Magic Johnson Lakers.
Nah, nobody compares. Nobody compares to those to Showtime. Showtime.
Yeah, I was gonna say because the Showtime Lakers was something else, but Shaq and Kobe's dynasty looked way better.
Yeah,
simply because it was homegrown and they just took over.
Right.
Versus how Golden State did it.
Definitely.
Golden State, yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
Golden State called for backup. They
had to phone Voltron just to beat Braun, man.
Yeah, dude. They called for the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, dude. That Lakers with Shaq and Kobe was unbelievable. And I was young then too. Watching them was way more entertaining because I feel like when you watch Golden State with Kevin Durant,
yeah,
everything they did, it wasn't a surprise to you. Simply
it wasn't.
Because it was expected.
Yes, I agree.
You know what I mean? Even when Braun was violating everybody with Miami, it wasn't a surprise because it was expected.
Yeah.
So when the Lakers was going at it with Portland in the playoffs,
right,
and the alley to Shaq that sealed the game, all of that stuff is exciting because it's a legitimate game. Like, right. You know what I mean?
Or the battles that they had with Sacramento.
Exactly. That was basketball versus like, dude, could you imagine if you had Shaq and Kobe and then they brought on Clyde Drexler? You know what I mean? Right. Watching those three run up court now, whatever they do, nothing would be like, oh, did you hear what happened? You know what I mean? It's kind of be like, Clyde and Kobe was disrespecting everybody on the court with Shaq running up court.
Yeah, that's facts. That's facts. All right, and the last question I will ask you, my man, is who is the greatest athlete of all time in any sport, in your opinion?
Did you watch The Last Dance?
Don't do that, man.
I gotta give it to Jordan, bro.
Jordan?
I gotta give it to Jordan.
Okay.
Just because, like, I feel like we know what Jordan has done, but to see it, through through documentary lens at the end of the day, that's something that's edited. But for Jordan to let all of those negative characteristics about him as a leader, be out to the public, he basically showed you what it took to win, bro.
Yeah.
And like he said, winning takes sacrifice. To be a leader takes sacrifice. Yeah. So I just heard the other day, Isaiah Thomas made a statement where they said, I don't care what happens in this game tonight, Jordan's not going for 50 points. He was like, yo, do you know what happened that game? Jordan went for 50. So that was probably the most unstoppable player I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, man. Between I can't disagree with you. In regards to Jordan's dominance, the other guy I can ever say that dominated a sport the way Jordan did is Tiger Woods and Wayne Gretzky in hockey. Like, those are the only two guys that you can actually put and say, oh, they did things that didn't even make sense. And that's what Jordan did. So I'm not going to disagree with you on your point. That's your opinion. And we're definitely going to go with that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure, man. For sure.
Well, listen, my man, it's been a pleasure. This has been fun. Like, this is like a regular conversation that me and you have all the time. So the fact that we doing it on a podcast, like it makes sense. You know what I mean?
Yeah, of course. Always fun, dude. And it always happens when we get on the phone and we're on the phone for hours and hours, just talking about everything, man. But yo, thanks for having me, man. Once again, bro. I know I'm your, you my brother at the end of the day. But yo, when I tell you I'm your biggest fan, dude. Every time I see you live, I'm always locked in. Yeah. Everybody's always talking about the show. I see you got the closeout now that looked amazing.
Yeah, man.
Man, just keep doing what you're doing, bro. Keep doing what you're doing. They're crazy out there if they're not noticing what you got going on.
I appreciate it, man. Appreciate it. So I'll definitely talk to you soon, my man.
All right, bro. Love you, bro.
I'd like to thank my man Rich for coming on the show. It's always fun talking to him, man. It's always fun talking hoops, talking everything with him because he's a he's a funny guy, man. Funny guy. So I'll definitely have him on again, and then we can bash Paul George together. Coming up after the break, the greatest segment on the planet, Dummy of the Week, on a Saturday. It's all even.
Yo, it's your man DJ G Money from that Flip the Script podcast. You see it? We in the studio right now. Flip, shut up. Yeah. Whoa, listen. Shout out to the All Even podcast. My man Barry Grant Jr. What's up, man? What happened? What you want to say to the people?
Shout out somebody else's podcast?
Yeah, don't make it the joint. What's up?
All Even?
All Even podcast.
Yo, it ain't even up here, boy. We put this, yo, what's up, man? All Even. Yo, oh my God. What's up with you, man? Now that's a shout out. You keeping this?
Yeah, keep all that. You want to jump
All
in the
Even
camera?
podcast, right?
Yeah, All
Shout out
Even.
to All Even podcast, right? All Even? That's your man?
My man.
All right, shout out to All Even podcast.
100%. He cool. Is he cool? Let me see. Is he cool?
Yeah. What is it, G? Oh. Shout out, G.
He cool, man.
This is Cigar Gents and Gals. Just want to give a shout out to All Even Podcast, the best sports podcast out there. Keep up the amazing work. Also check us out at cigargentsandgals.com. We're everyday apparel for cigar smokers. Let's get it.
What's going on? What's up with you? It's your boy, the Candyman, the ALFRE to the D. It's your boy, Alfred from the Rap Lab Podcast.
And it's the one and only True G. Just call me the QG from the Rap Lab Podcast.
And you tuned in to All Even with Barry Grant.
Boy, that shit crazy.
Welcome back, y'all. So without further ado, the greatest segment on the planet, Dummy of the Week. We pick candidates on Tuesday and Saturday, and then we pick the winner on that Saturday show. So Tuesday's candidate was the bouncer that got his ass knocked out by Pac-Man Jones. Definitely a strong candidate, but not the winner. May I have the drum roll, please? And the winner is the Philadelphia Eagles, the entire organization. The Philadelphia Eagles are my... Because what a week they've had. What a week. They had to trade their franchise quarterback and got pennies for him. They didn't even get a traditional first-round pick. It can change into a first-round pick if Carson Wentz plays, 75% of the snaps for the entire season. So they'll end up getting a first-round pick, which will mean absolutely nothing because the Colts will be a good team. But this just goes to show you how an organization can completely not know what they're doing. So let me get this straight. You can have this guy on your team. He has to now live up to the statue that's in front of the stadium of Nick Foles that won the Super Bowl, the only Super Bowl in your history. You give him all the money, but you don't give him any weapons. No offensive line. He looks terrible. He has to scramble around. He's getting hurt. And your remedy to help this poor guy is to draft Jalen Hurts in the second round of the draft. You also went to go get Jalen Reagor, which was a mistake because he's not like any of those other good receivers that came out in this draft this year. Clearly not. That's the help that you got this guy. Then, when things don't work out and the team is a dumpster fire, bad offensive line, bad weapons on the outside, they got to call people off the street. You then bench said player and say, hey, listen, we want to see what this second round guy out of Oklahoma has because we took him in the second round. What? You're going to put in the quarterback that can't throw a football to replace me? What did they thought was going to happen after they saw that Jalen Hurts can't throw the football? Huh? And here's the funny part. After they make the trade, after they trade Wentz to the Colts, they end up putting out a press release or a report or whatever it says that they are now going to have a QB competition. So you trade your quarterback, and now you're going to bring in another quarterback that you have to pay to compete with Jalen Hurts for the starting job. That to me is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Yeah, we're going to trade our franchise guy, and we're going to bring in some other guy to compete with the guy that can't throw the football. What? Maybe you should invest on getting some guys in here that can actually teach Jalen Hurts how to throw the football. Maybe that's a good idea. But we know that the Eagles don't have many good ideas. Look at who they picked as their head coach. Nick, I can't speak Sirianni. That guy. And we're gonna put one foot in front of the other, and that's called walking. Yo, as a Cowboys fan, I'm telling you, I am loving this. This organization, they've done a lot of good things in their history, but man, have they done some bonehead things too. And what is Howie Roseman doing? He's just twiddling his thumbs like, well, maybe this is going to work out. How? How is it going to work out? You let Doug Peterson rub his nuts all over this organization and leave a mark, leave a stink all over it. And now, how are you fixing it? How are you fixing it? Oh, I know. We're going to let Jalen Hurts compete with some other guy off the street, or maybe some rookie, or maybe some old veteran. It just doesn't make sense. They still don't have an offensive line. They still don't have any weapons on the outside. The defense needs work. This is a complete disaster. But like I say, dumpster fire. And boy, is it burning. And it's not stopping anytime soon. It doesn't matter if there's rain. It doesn't matter if there's snow. The dumpster fire will continue to be lit. And just when you thought it was over, they are now responsible for the biggest cap hit in history. In the team's history, trading Wentz to the Colts. They're still on the hook for $33 million on the books. What a fuck you charge that is. I love it. This can't get any better to me. I'm going to come over to your party. I'm going to take a crap in your pool. I'm going to leave with mad food. And I'm going to have you pay for everything. So the Eagles organization, you can forget about winning a Super Bowl anytime soon. And not this decade or the next. But you're a winner for Dummy of the Week. That's all for this show. That's all for this week. I'll see you guys next week. Until then, stay safe. Stay cool. Peace. You can catch me on Twitter and Instagram at All Even Podcast. Listen to the show on Anchor, Spotify, SoundCloud, and wherever podcasts are available. And check out my YouTube channel, All Even Podcast. And don't forget to share, like, and hit that subscribe button.